Hey guys, welcome back to the Calibrate Tools and DIY channel. Today, just come with me on a walk and talk and walk about doors. Always been interested in how those things work. If you've ever been curious about how to measure your doors, this is the video to watch. Hey guys, and if you appreciate the content, don't hesitate to subscribe. See you guys right after this. Okay guys, so I went down the door aisle of my local hardware store and I decided to talk about doors, because if you're getting ready to change your door out or install new doors on a new structure, then there's some things you should know as a beginner, as a DIYer, and all of that good stuff. So there are standards when it comes to door sizes, and that's because you have these things called building codes, which are simply a set of rules that specify the standards of constructed objects, like buildings, and even structures that are not buildings. So you just can't slap any size door in a wall. You have to adhere to these standard sizes that are in compliance with these building codes. Now, before we talk about door sizes, I'd like to point out that every industry has its own lingo. Contractors, hardware stores, carpenters, and others in the building trades have a specific way of referring to door size, and you guys should be familiar with it too. For example, if you're looking for a 30-inch wide, 80-inch tall door, that's referred to as a 2-foot, 6-inch wide, 6-foot, 8-inch tall door. So they simply reduced the inches into feet. But that's not where it ends. That 2-foot, 6-inch wide, 6-foot, 8-inch tall door is referred to as a 2.6, 6.8 door. And when referring to door size, the width is always stated before the height. So let's just say your door is 24 inches wide and 78 inches tall. That door would simply be referred to as a 2.66 door. 2 feet wide, 6 foot 6 inches tall. So if you're around a tradesperson and they said they need a 2.6, 6.8 door, at least you know what they're talking about. Now, interior doors range from 28 to 30 inches wide with a standard height of 80 inches. And the standard width is 32 inches. And what is that? That's 2 feet 8 inches. In other words, it's a 2.8 door. That's the minimum recommended width required for an interior passage door. Now, if you have an existing door that you're getting ready to replace and it's smaller than that standard 32-inch wide door, sometimes you can get away with replacing it with that same size door. But if you're going to do renovations, new construction, or additions, then you're going to have to follow the building code and put in that 2.8 door. Now, these minimums are just that, minimums, and they can definitely be exceeded if you so desire. If you want a door that's 96 inches tall, which is the max height for a door, you can do that as long as there's enough room under the header to allow for it. The header is part of the framing of the doorway. It's the upper structural member. Exterior doors are designed to be sturdier for security reasons and also insulation reasons. And they're at least 36 inches wide, ranging in height from the standard 80 inches to 96 inches, which is what we just talked about. Now, when you're talking about utility rooms or closets or doors that are not used often, you can go with a slightly shorter door, like a 6.6 door. That's 78 inches, 6'6". Oh yeah, and I don't want to neglect to mention that you can have 36-inch wide doors. That's over the standard 32 inches, especially if you need wheelchair access or if you have elderly people that plan to stay in that home for a long time. Now, the next thing to consider is how thick is your door. Now, there are only 2 common thicknesses. I said common. That's 1 3/8 inches and 1.5 inches. These are common for residential structures, and they can be either hollow or solid. Having a hollow core, that means there's nothing inside but just the framing of the door, or solid core, meaning that it's filled with foam or sawdust. Now, they do have thicker doors that are 1 3/4 inches thick, but those are usually used as fire doors because they're insulated or made from a more solid wood. It's important to know your door thickness for several reasons. Number one, you can't get the right door set. For example, a lot of older homes have thinner doors that won't fit the standard door set. So you may need a thicker door just for that, which has its benefits. More security from break-ins, better insulation, waterproofing, and helping to keep the insects and pests out. You can get the width and the height right, but if you get the thickness wrong, you can end up with a door that can't be properly secured. All right, so you got your door thicknesses down. Now, you have to figure out how thick your door jamb is. Now, your door jamb is simply how thick the wood is in your door frame. If they're made with 2x4s, which is usually the standard interior wall door jamb, it's going to be about 4 9/16 inches. On the exterior side, or load-bearing side, it can be 2x6s, and the thickness is usually around 6 and 9/16 inches, so 2 inches more than the interior. Knowing your door jamb thickness is super important. Why? Because if your door jamb is too small, the framing, or the rough opening as they call it, in the wall may be exposed. And if your door jamb is too big, it may have to be trimmed to fit the wall properly. Make sure that you include any sheetrock on either side, inside or out, making sure you don't include your molding or casing. If the measurements are off in your door jamb, you may not be able to close your door, it may not be a good fit, and you may have some functionality issues with the door. Okay, so you're getting ready to measure your door. But what kind of door are you gonna hang? Is it a pre-hung door or a slab door? A slab door is just the door by itself. No hinges, no mortises, sometimes not even the hole for the knob to go into. A pre-hung door is just that. It's a door with a frame around it. It has hinges and it has a pre-drilled hole for the knob. Now, the least expensive one out of the two, obviously, is the slab door. And if you've used a chisel before, you should be okay. Great thing about it is it doesn't require taking out an existing door jamb or trim from the rough opening. And all you have to do is just measure the door. Pre-hung doors are the best when it's a new construction rough opening or if the old door jamb has been taken out already. Once again, the rough opening is simply that hole in the wall, that space where a window or door is placed. It's basically the framing behind your drywall or sheetrock that surrounds the door or window. First thing you want to do is remove the door casing around the sides and the top of the door frame. That'll expose the rough opening to you, or the framing behind the wall. Then you want to get a tape measure and you want to measure from one side of the rough opening to the next. And because they're sometimes uneven, you want to take 3 different measurements when you're measuring the width. You want to measure from the top, the middle, and the bottom. Then you're going to take the largest of these measurements as the width. Now for the height, you want to measure from the bottom edge of the header all the way to the floor. And you want to measure on the left side of that top bottom edge and the right side of that top bottom edge all the way to the floor. And then record the largest measurement. That's how you measure for a pre-hung door. Now, a slab door doesn't have any hinges or mortises, not even a pre-drilled doorknob hole. Once again, it's cheaper than a pre-hung door, and you're going to have to do a little more work as far as customizing it to your liking. But when measuring a slab door, just take a tape measure and measure the width of the door. You want to measure the width at the top, the middle, and the bottom, just like you did for the rough opening for the pre-hung door. Then you want to measure the height of the left side and the right side of the door. Then you want to take note of the largest measurement that you get for the width and for the height. After that, you want to measure the thickness of the door, and that should be on the top, the middle, and the bottom. And then take the largest measurement of that as well. All right, guys, finally, you may have a situation where you need to have a custom door made because the standard size doors don't work. This is common with older homes that tend to have narrow doorways. In that case, you may want to slap in a 36-inch wide door, but you can always customize the size to whatever you feel is necessary. If you have to make the rough opening bigger than what it is, don't hesitate to call a professional to get that job done. All right, guys, there you have it. That's some of the key information you got to know about doors, how to measure them, how to install them. And the good part about it is, in certain cases, you're not restricted to those standard sizes. You can customize your doors to whatever you want them to be or need them to be. Guys, if you appreciate the content, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Check out the links below to support the channel, guys. Got some great stuff for you. See you guys next time.